Hi guys, this is Jason with Vandemic. So today I have an exclusive for you. We have a deep dive on a 2023 Mercedes Sprinter all-wheel drive. Now we're gonna get started with first driving impressions. So I'm actually in the van right now. I picked up this van on Saturday from the dealership, brought it back to my property, and now we're about ready to take it to the shop. Now, for those of you that don't know a lot about the 4x4 that used to be available, it's no longer available in 2023. Now, the 4x4 is great for those people looking for the extra traction. However, I was not a huge fan of the 4x4 system, so I'm actually fairly excited about this all-wheel drive system. Now, from the 4x4 system, here's the things that I didn't like. First and foremost, I thought it was next to impossible to get it into 4x4 mode. There was a little button, you would think you just press the button and voila, you're in 4x4 mode. That's not the case. You have to be in a certain sequence. I went many times thinking I was in 4-wheel drive and actually got a van stuck because I was in 2-wheel drive even though the light said I was on 4x4. So 4x4 is gone, it's all automatic, so it's more, I assume the all-wheel drive system is going to be very similar to the 4MATIC system that I have in my C-Class. So this is an all-wheel drive for that. Now, the other item that I was not very happy with in the 4x4 system was the general ride and the steering. Those were very poor. Also, the acceleration. When you first start to accelerate, it was like very geary. It was not very smooth, it was loud. And I know this because I just finished a 4x4 170 last week. So I actually have a lot of experience driving a 4x4 recently, so I should be able to give you a really fair assessment. Is this all-wheel drive version better than a 4x4? So let's get started with our drive. So just leaving the house right now, of course, ready. This has the 4-cylinder high output engine. That's the way I ordered all these. Right now, I'm gonna tell you from the get-go, faster off the gate. As soon as you press the gas, it goes. The other thing I can tell you right out of the gate is that the steering is very similar to the 4x2, which makes it a lot easier to maneuver. So steering so far, very good compared to the 4x4. And this thing gets up and goes. So we went from a 6-cylinder to a 4-cylinder, and I'm dramatically faster. So that just goes to show, just because it's a V6 does not mean it's a superior engine than a 4-cylinder. On top of that, driving from Cleveland to Columbus, I averaged 21.4 miles per gallon. I have to assume that will get better over time. This was the first tank of gas. Not bad. Definitely a lot better than the V6 4x4, which you would probably, on that trip, first tank of gas, maybe at best 14 miles per gallon. So we're already 7 to 8 miles a gallon better than what I would anticipate in the 4x4. So that's a huge win. I'm telling you right now, smooth, quiet, and happy. So far, really enjoying it. Now, Aaron, did you drive the 4x4 that we had here before? Mm-hmm. So this one is a lot faster right off the get.
Yeah, they picked up real quick.
They picked up real quick. And we're going to get this on normal streets going between 40 and 50, and we're also going to hit the highway for an exit. All right, so I'm stopped here. This will be a true test to get up and go, all right? A lot more quiet, a lot less geary, no vibration. So the 4x4 used to vibrate a lot between 0 and like 30 miles an hour. You get a live vibration off the rear wheels, getting nothing. Already up to 61, which is too fast for this road. They throw my cruise control at 56 and just cruise down to the highway. If you have an opportunity, if you're like me and you like creature comforts, this one has all the creature comforts on it. I have the heated seat. It's about 30 degrees out right now. So really quite toasty on my back, which I enjoy. I didn't order all of my 2022s with heated seats, which is unfortunate because it's one of my favorite features in the vehicle. So this one obviously has it. My next couple I have it as well. So by the way, if you want a 4x4, you have to get a 2022. They're gone. So 2023 is all-wheel drive, like I mentioned earlier. I have a 170 all-wheel drive coming soon in April-ish. If you're looking for a build, let us know. We'd love to build that one out. That will get our new interiors that we have available now. It's our overlanding interiors. The idea behind the overlanding interiors gives you flexibility of a modular install so you can update and change it in the future. However, still going to look like a pandemic van for the most part. So still going to have that classy look. The only real big difference that you'll notice as a customer is that you'll see airline track in the ceiling and some places on the wall. We have some airline track in the floor. Most of the airline track is hidden, but it's our new attachment method for all of our cabinets and our different modules that we're building. Highway driving. This is a dream. It's actually a lot better ride than what we used to have in the 2022 4x4. Very similar to the two-wheel drive. Now, the biggest difference you're gonna have over the two-wheel drive is the height of the van. So the ride is fairly similar. The mileage is fairly similar. You have all-wheel drive, so you get better traction, but we're higher. We're about 4 inches higher than the two-wheel drive. So, how is that going to impact you when you drive? Well, the wind might drive you or push you around a little bit. But I can tell you from experience driving a 4x2 over an extended period of time in very windy conditions, that driving any van in the wind is just a nightmare, okay? So, the one thing that these vans have on them, which I'm not a big fan of, at least from the implementation from Mercedes. So Mercedes, if you're watching this, I love the quality of your van, but I hate one feature of your van, and it should be recalled immediately, and it should be thrown away. It's called crosswind assist. Crosswind assist does nothing but make things worse. If it kicks on, it'll actually make you a little bit wobbly, much worse than the wind that is trying to combat. So Mercedes, if you're watching this video, again, we love what you do, but we hate this damn feature. You need to figure out a way to fix it. It's horrible. Now I'm driving 41 miles an hour on a hilly, windy backcountry road, super smooth, not tippy at all. Very enjoyable drive, actually. What do you think, Aaron, from the passenger seat?
Yeah, it's pretty smooth, honestly.
Yeah, really nice and smooth. And when we get this van back to the shop, we'll give you a deep dive of the interior so that you see all the bells and whistles that we have in this and what to expect in a 2023. But most everything on the inside is pretty similar to 2019 and forward, okay? So I don't see any drastic changes as far as the UIs or anything like that. There is one thing to consider. This one has the larger screen on it, which is nice. Now this one does not have the wireless Android Auto and Apple CarPlay. I think that's another thing that Mercedes should just do away with. Get rid of the option for wired. And I have a big reason behind that. Pretty soon, from my understanding, Apple's going to get rid of ports altogether because they're pissed at the EU and all these different countries by forcing them to use USB-C. So they're going to get rid of any of their charged little wires. So if there's no wire, how are you going to connect to this system? They're going to have to update the system anyway somehow to use wireless. Or you're going to have to get some type of dongle that goes from wireless to the phone to this. It's going to be a nightmare. So Mercedes, another thing to take into consideration is get rid of all your wired options. They do have a wireless option. I don't know exact order number or part number for that, but I know I have had some of the smaller 7-inch screens come in that have everything wireless, and some of them that are wired. So I have to assume that the 10-inch also has that ability. It might be the most expensive package, but if you have the option, I would go for that. That should give you the wireless capabilities so that it future-proofs you when you want to get a new phone. Normally though, the experience plugging in wired Android Auto, wired CarPlay is really great. That's what I normally use. In our vans that we've had to replace these units, like if it just had a factory DIN unit, we did put in a touchscreen with wireless capabilities. I do like this system better than any third-party system because it's going to allow you to control and see everything in the van, whereas the third-party systems won't do that. Now this road that we're going on right now is, I would say, semi-gravel, so it was actually a brand new road that they put asphalt on. Then they came back and grinded the top off to give it more traction because it is a country road, and during the winter it could get a little bit nasty. So this has a little bit different terrain than a normal road. It's a lot more grainy, much more similar to like a road in Europe. If you've ever been to the UK, very grainy and a little bit louder, so that's why it's louder. Still very smooth. I don't feel much of a difference from a ride perspective, just a little bit louder. The one thing that Mercedes does too is they don't give you an AT tire option that I'm aware of from the factory. So this is just going to have a regular all-season tire on there, which is a good tire, depending on, they do have several different tires you can order, but this tire that's on here, I think it's a Michelin tire. It's a really nice tire. We'll take a look later. It is a great tire. Now, if you are going to envision yourself going off-road a lot onto roads where you might need better traction, you might want to look at an AT tire like a KO2 or an open country or something along those lines, which is great. Or you might want to just use these factory tires until they're shot and then replace them at that point. I actually had a customer just picked up their 4x4 and we put some KO2s on for them, but she took the factory tires as well to use during the summer. So she's going to swap out during the summer because they live in Minnesota. They're going to put on the normal tires, and then during the winter they're going to use their AT tires. Now, normal tires will normally get you a little bit better gas mileage and will also be a little quieter from a ride perspective. So far, I mean, ride quality rides to me just like a two-wheel drive, which is great because the two-wheel drive ride quality was far superior than a 4x4 ride. So definitely very happy with the ride quality. And who could be mad at 21.4 miles per gallon for about a 150-mile trip from Cleveland down to where we're at outside of Columbus? It's a really great gas mileage. I have to imagine you're going on a really long trip and you're going 65 to 70, you're going to see over 20 miles per gallon, which is going to give you, again, over the 4x4, probably about 8 miles per gallon better MPGs, which is amazing. This gets up and goes just like I love the sound of the turbo diesel, just the little whistle, it makes me happy. So we're about to wrap up our driving impressions. So far, I'd say it's an A, whereas the 4x4, in my opinion, was a C- for ride. So we went from a C- 2022, in my opinion. That's all this is. This is my opinion. Only the dude that's built, 40 Sprinters and drives them every day. Just this guy. He doesn't know shit. It's better. It's better. Aaron, better?
Yeah, I'd say so.
Okay. It's unanimous. 2 out of 2. All right, so driving impressions so far, A. Not A+, but a solid A. Now that we have finished our road test, let's talk a little bit about this van. First of all, you'll notice that this van is dramatically taller than a two-wheel drive. It's actually the same height as the four-wheel drive. So if you're looking for something that gives you a little bit more clearance, then the all-wheel drive version is just like the 4x4, gets you off the ground an additional 4. Now on the inside, everything looks pretty much the same as what you would expect in a 4x4 with one exception. There is no button here for 4x4 mode. It is always in all-wheel drive. In this particular model, I ordered it with heated seats, One of my favorite features, it also has memory seats. If you are going to be driving with another person and they drastically change their height of their seat and the alignment of their seat compared to you, so as an example, my wife is, what she likes to say is 5'5". I don't think it's that generous. And I'm 6'1". Maybe or maybe that's not generous, but there's a big enough difference between the two of us that if I try to get in the van after she's been driving, I don't fit. So the memory seat is a really great option if you plan on driving the van with somebody else and they have different preferences on comfortability. Now inside the van, again, it looks just like any previous Sprinter. So this is a 144 high roof, so this gives us enough room for a really nice build, but it gives us the maneuverability that we really like. Now another question that we also get around here is, why should I get a 144 over a 170? Everything really comes down to your needs. A 170 is a lot longer and it gives you a lot more room for your build, whereas a 144 is smaller, it's more maneuverable, it fits into more places, but you have less room for a build. So it's really up to you. What's most important to you? Storage and room versus versatility and being able to get into small spaces. Now, it wouldn't be a proper all-wheel drive review if I didn't tell you what I don't think you should do in this van. Now, a lot of people, they love like those Rebels, right? Those badass 4x4 Sprinters, and they're great, and they have upgraded suspension, all sorts of great stuff. That being said, should you take your Sprinter van rock climbing? No. Why? This van, when it's built out, is going to be very heavy. You're looking at a maximum weight of 9,050 pounds, fully loaded, everything in there. Now, our builds normally come in between, say, 76 and 7,800 pounds, full water, full fuel. So you still have over 1,000 pounds normally for people in gear, which is plenty. That being said, you put in all that extra weight, that weight is not going to necessarily go really well over really crazy boulders and stuff like that. Now you want to take your Sprinter van on a dirt trail that's relatively calm. All-wheel drive is going to be an excellent option for that. If you're thinking about doing some heavy-duty overlanding through creek beds and over large boulders and stuff like that, this is not something you do in a van, okay? I don't care what anyone says, I do it all the time. That's great if you want to ruin your $150,000 van plus, okay? It does not take long to roll a van, and if it's on the side, I can guarantee the entire van's total, okay? You have all that weight crashing down, nothing good comes of this. So why should you get an all-wheel drive? Here's why I think you should get an all-wheel drive. You're going to be on some dirt roads, not crazy all-terrain. You live in an area where it snows a lot and you want to have some extra traction, the all-wheel drive is great. So if you really want to use your van 4 seasons in snow, all-wheel drive is a great option. I'm not going to say that a two-wheel drive is a bad option because I don't think it is. I think a two-wheel drive option is perfectly acceptable, and in most cases, even in the snow, it's going to be fine. Remember, all of the Sprinter vans are going to be rear-wheel drive, unless if it's all-wheel drive. In the way that we build our vans, we put a lot of weight over the rear wheels. That allows for excellent traction. So you can still drive in snow in a big van that has rear-wheel drive. It's not necessary to have all-wheel drive. Does it make it easier in certain situations? Absolutely. Could you get by with some Go Treads and save yourself $6,000 or $8,000 in an all-wheel drive? Absolutely. It's really up to you. At the end of the day, it's what do you want? So as an example, like, hey, it's all-wheel drive, I can take it anywhere, I can do some crazy shit in it. That's great. My car will go 160 miles an hour. That does not mean I drive my car 160 miles an hour. All-wheel drive might give you some capabilities to get in some really remote areas that are really crazy. Would I do that with a van that costs over $150,000 all built out? Most likely not. Would I take my house and throw it up on a trailer on a semi and drive it through, Utah and some crazy roads? No, I'm not gonna do that. So you probably shouldn't do that with your van if you enjoy your investment. If you want to ruin your investment, take it up those crazy hills. So that's kind of what I think, but you can do whatever you want. It's your van, do whatever you want. Just try to give you a good overview to this all-wheel drive version. Again, 2023 all-wheel drive. My rating, 1 to 10, 10 being best. Ride quality, if I say the two-wheel drive is a 10, This is a 9, so just a tiny bit behind. Very, very close to the 2-wheel drive. Compared to all the other vans that are out there, including the Ford Transit all-wheel drive, Ford Transit all-wheel drive is nice, but doesn't have nearly as much lift. And I believe this engine is going to give you dramatically better MPGs than what you would get in a Transit. Okay, a Transit, you might be getting 14, 17 tops. This guy, you're getting over 21. Huge difference. So overall, I rate this 9 out of 10. It's an excellent van, definitely recommend it. There is no 10 out of 10, okay, period. There's no perfect van out there. It's whatever van works best for you. So thank you, and we'll see you soon. Bye.